to them to badmouth pensions. They gave money to Troy University to badmouth pensions. Okay, they've given it to Mason University. These guys are serious enough that the Arnold Foundation put in $100,000 in an election just in Phoenix, Arizona. They got beat. But I'm telling you that they're dead serious, because you don't put in real money unless you're dead serious. And their job is to take away pension funds of public employees. You have to understand that what we've been fighting lately with now is the newest thing, and that's called the Alabama Joint Pension Committee. That was just formulated. It's had one meeting. The person they brought in, the legislators brought in to listen to, was the Pew Foundation. The Pew Foundation is funded by the Arnold Foundation. Okay? The Pew Foundation went into Kentucky, conned them into setting up a 401 for everybody instead of a pension program. What's been the result? I have it on the front page of next month's newsletter about 10 senators and representatives that sent a letter to all 50 states, to their legislators, and said, don't be confused by the Pew Foundation. They have their own actuary, by the way, that wants to give you a money purchase system in essence. But what they're after is to change the system in the country from a defined benefit system, which we have enjoyed for decades, to a 401. And the only thing that I can tell you, the only good story that I saw is, why are they so interested in this? I have that also on the front page of next month's Advisor, from the only guy that I found that sort of pinned it down good. He's a writer for the Los Angeles Times. Obviously, he wouldn't be working there if the Koch brothers had me buy him, right? But anyway, he writes for the Los Angeles Times. He says, just think of it. In a pension fund, for example, we did, let's say last week, we balance a lot of the portfolio. So last week we were moving a lot of stock to balance it. But anyway, the long and short of it is, we were doing trades for, let's say there was probably $125 or $150 million in stock transactions. We were doing it for a penny a share. In some instances, we do it for zero, because we'll find a brokerage firm like Morgan Stanley or Goldman that wants that portfolio, and they'll make their money on the other side. The difference from what he's pointing out is that pension funds, even as hard as we try, we're holding their costs way down as far as their profits go. So if all of us in this room were trying to do our own thing, instead of paying a penny a share or nothing to trade stock, we'd be being charged 25 or 30 cents or 50 cents or even $1 a share, depending on what it is. So that's where it's coming back to my point to you about money. All right, my last subject, and that's your ERS board. It's been interesting to see the whole system come about. And I think it's important for you to understand that if you were to run me off today or 10 years from now, whoever has my job has an extremely difficult job. The job entails a lot of things, not just Wall Street crooks, not just straight up crooks, but you also then have Montgomery. And you have to remember this. It's a logical thing. It's a very logical thing. And what I'm saying to you is that there's a natural conflict between my job and the governor/legislators. Why do I say that to you? I want you to understand that when you elect a governor, you and I pick either he or she or X or Y. And we pick that person because we think that person is going to do something to solve socioeconomic problems that we are currently interested in. or that we know about. Or we simply want to pick somebody that's going to make life hopefully better for ourselves and our family and our children. That's how we pick our politicians. And then we say, okay, you get 4 years, and then, by the way, we're going to vote on you again. So that person's got 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years, 4 years, to prove to you and me that he or she deserves another term, right? Okay. And the reason we think they deserve another term is they did something about those problems that we thought were problems. Right. What's the difference? The difference is my job is to make sure that that person that comes to work for the highway department or for prisons or as a teacher who's 21 or 22 years old has got something when they're 60 years old. So now, how do you solve problems if you're the guy or gal who's running the state or a legislator? The only place you can solve problems, my dad used to beat me on the head. I was a little redheaded kid who said, you know, I'd always come up with these really neat ideas. And he'd look at me and say, how are you going to fund them? Ideas without money remain ideas. So now take it to your politician. If I'm going to get reelected and I'm going to solve those problems that you and I elected him for, or her, I got to have some money. Where the hell's the money, folks? It's your money, but everybody's been trying to borrow it since I've been here. And I assure you that they're going to find out ways to try to do it, because they don't even have to take away what they gave us already. All they got to do is stop the money coming in that they owe us for current people that are currently working. So there's this conflict there. And I want from my heart to ask you to do something for me. And that is, whether I leave next week or 10 years from now, this is the thing I think is the most important thing I could say to you. That is, you've got to get control of your ERS retirement system board. You cannot allow, it is clearly dominated by a governor. Whoever you put me in, whoever puts in my job, you're going to fight with him all the time and be strong enough to resist him, or you're going to do what he wants. When he does what he wants, you're going to have Illinois, you're going to have New Jersey, you're going to have a pension fund that's going the other way really fast and furious, because you got to remember, this thing's big enough that all you got to do is rip off a little bit and nobody's going to notice for a few years. Okay? Now, it'll hit the fan eventually, but it's very easy to pilfer for a while. So I want your organization to get stronger, tougher, meaner, more hostile, and it would be to ask you to do that and say, how do you do that? I had to come up with an answer. Now, my answer to you as state employees is a simple thing. That is, I think you've got to, I have never seen groups that come to Montgomery be effective. I don't even care if it's the teachers. Higher education, they don't care. Who cares? They go in the Senate or the House chamber, they don't care. They put stickers in their fingers and in their ears. They don't care. But what cares is back home. Senator Orr doesn't give a rip about anybody in Montgomery or Mobile or Opelika. He cares a lot about Decatur, Alabama. And how do you become more powerful and make sure your interests are protected? They're protected if you'll expand to all those cities and counties that I brought into the system. You have hundreds of cities and counties that have mutual interest to yourself. You got to have more members. You've got to simply talk to legislators where they live. And you might have 2 or 3 state employees in Opelika or Randolph County or something. But now you take every city employee, you take every county employee. they're going to listen. And I'll give you one last concrete illustration. One time, many decades ago, the state troopers were going to rip me off. I went over to the legislature. There was a speaker by the name of McCorkadale. I went into him and I said, Speaker McCorkadale, I got to have some time. This is ridiculous what they proposed. He says, well, you only got one vote over here. I said, well, I don't give a damn. One's better than none. But I said, how about giving me the time over the AEA break? He said, all right, I'll make sure they can't vote on it until then. Do you know that when they came back from the AEA break, nobody, remember I only had one vote. They never even brought it up. They never brought it up because I wrote a letter to every member of the teachers and employees system telling them what was going to happen. And that's what I'm trying to get in your head. If all of you come to Montgomery, they're going to ignore you. Just like they ignore every group. On the other hand, if you make a real solid effort to go out and organize and protect this retirement system, you have to understand that there are threats that you don't know about. I mean, Jimmy Rowell has circulated a resolution that I shouldn't be able to write the advisor anymore. That he should get to proof it beforehand. Well, that'd be useful. That'd be really useful. I mean, there was a serious attempt to take the employee system away from me about a year ago and give it to a mutual fund in Colorado. Okay? Just because they wanted that, whatever it is, Great Western or whoever, one of our big buddies here, have control of it. But I'm telling you, you've got to get to the situation where, like the teachers control the teachers' retirement system. There's 2 or 3 ex officios on there, that's fine. They can express their opinions, do whatever they want. But don't think that people that work for the governor are going to do anything but what the governor wants you to do. That's why your general fund in this state is in trouble. It's in trouble. It's in trouble because every cabinet member that I've ever met, and I've seen and been at too many meetings for, governor will say to them, look, you got to do what you can do with what you got, or I'll find somebody else. They don't have the ability to speak up, and they've got to speak up to preserve this state. I appreciate you more than you can imagine. I encourage you to make sure the ERS system is in your hands and not in political hands. There's no reason not to have oversight of politicians, all that stuff, that's fine. But you simply cannot be put in a position, whoever's directing your system, to think they can hold on to it for you, whether it's in the healthcare area or whether it's in the pension area, because we have new elements of society that are beating on you more than you've ever seen, and they're dead serious. Thank you very much.